Good morning, all. Suburban Sentinel here, coming to you once again from very deep inside the Arabian Peninsula. And this is another episode of a little series I call A New American Life. When my wife and I became expats and left the United States some years ago, essentially we divested ourselves of almost everything and all ties to America. All of our personal property that we have left would fit in a small minivan, and we have nothing left there other than a few family members. So when we go back to America, we will essentially be starting anew with lots of choices. And I'm sharing this because I know many of you out there are either changing or considering changing your lives dramatically, starting over, or whatever. So hopefully this series may be of some interest and or use to you folks out there. Of course, no matter where we go back in America, we're going to have to put a roof over our heads. And one of the issues we've been grappling with is whether to buy a home or rent. Now, this is a very tough issue, and we weren't going to buy immediately. In my opinion, the price of real estate nationwide is going to drop substantially, but it is a long-term, or at least a longer-term concern. Now, I consider us extremely fortunate because anywhere in the United States my wife and I would choose to live, we could afford to buy a reasonable house and pay cash for it. But I'm still not sure that I'd want to buy, even though we would not have to hold or at least give a mortgage on a piece of property. I do have several concerns about buying as follows. My first big concern is property taxes. The economy is very shaky and in my opinion is going to get much worse, and state revenues versus state expenses, and again with county and local revenue and expenses are out of whack, and these governments are going to be looking for money. And many of these states and municipalities are in terrible financial condition to begin with and will only get much worse. Now, people who own property are what's known as more sticky. They're more likely to pay exorbitant fees and taxes due to being tied to a piece of land within that state or locale than those who rent and can beat feet easily. Another idiot. A second major concern of ours is community stability. We are living through probably some of the most unstable political, social, and economic times in recent history. And any community, no matter how historically stable, could be subject to very violent changes. Not violent as in guns and knives, but just major upheavals. Maybe you'd go the other way too, who knows? But anything could happen. You might have a major employer in that area relocate or go out of business. You may have an industry prevalent in that general region either relocate or somehow be drastically changed, reflecting changes to the employment situation. And then you have the politicians. You never know what some of them might do. Some politicians believe that bringing thousands upon thousands of third world, uneducated, ignorant savages into your community who have nothing to offer is a really great idea. So again, changes in communities, we always want progress, but sometimes we get regression. A third major concern of ours with respect to buying real property is the property rights, or more specifically, the erosion thereof over the last half century or so. Through such things as administrative regulations on property owners and land, civil asset forfeiture, and expansion of eminent domain by federal, state, and local entities, property owners have seen the sanctity of their property eroded substantially. And although it doesn't happen that often, I believe it is a valid concern for anyone thinking about buying real property, especially to be used as the family home. Now, are all of these legitimate concerns? I think so. I've never had a property subject to civil asset forfeiture, and I've done videos on these before, or eminent domain, but you see the case law, and property rights are just sadly are no longer a bedrock fundamental principle established in our law. And that is eroding confidence in purchasing real estate for many people, including my wife and I. In conclusion, I really have no conclusion. The question of whether to buy or rent remains open, at least to me at this time. In my heart of hearts, I really prefer to own my home. I want just a nice, comfortable, humble place I can call my own, where I can live out the rest of my days and do what I want, when I want, with my property, being free from interference. That's what my heart really wants. But my head says, well, maybe that's not such a good idea. The reality of the situation might be otherwise. You might be better off renting, at least for a while. So again, I really don't know what to do. I am certainly open to any suggestions that you intelligent and wise folks out there might have. And I hope this might be of some use to those of you who are going through a similar analysis, whether to buy or rent. Or if you're going to change your life, maybe you want to change the way you live. If you're renting, buy. If you're buying, rent. Again, I'm not sure. Thanks for watching. This is the Suburban Sentinel. Please thumbs up, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. Questions, enlightening comments, and differing opinions are always welcome. Be safe back there, everybody.